Hey crew, we have the best Stasis Hunter build for that endgame content, and I don't think people understand how good a Stasis Hunter can really be. There are two exotic combos that are both up there in that class of some of the strongest combos in the game, thanks to a certain fragment on the Stasis subclass we can take advantage of. Now within this gameplay, there are a few things I want you to take note of while watching this video. All the gameplay is taken from a solo Grandmaster, so the hardest activity in the game. And the first thing is the crazy amount of Super Regen we are getting from every shot we take, and that's because of a fragment we are using and how exotic primaries give you the most super energy back when dealing damage. But with this setup we're running, we can literally take down a champion in 6 to 7 shots from our primary bow that has infinite ammo. So since we're dealing so much damage with an exotic primary, we can get some crazy super returns, and then if you defeat a frozen target, you get even more super energy, thanks to a fragment that we're running. We literally throw 5 or 6 supers here in this one room alone, which is pretty crazy. I didn't realize we could get it back that quickly. Second is we have no problem killing enemies that are frozen because our primary weapon hits like a truck thanks to a 50% damage buff to it that we have up all the time, since we can keep all the enemies frozen very easily. And thirdly, we can always have everything frozen because we have unlimited dust field grenades even while keeping our distance from enemies, and we can keep the entire battlefield frozen because the Stasis Hunter enhances those dust field grenades for us. Stasis really excels in crowd control by keeping everything frozen and locked up, and pretty much everyone can appreciate one Stasis build on the team when running difficult content. Now it might not be as flashy as the light 3.0 subclasses, but it definitely gets the job done. So we have a ton of supers for every engagement, unlimited abilities with our dust fields and shurikens. We're talking dust field grenades that come back in less than 5 seconds, a 50% weapon damage boost all the time on the hardest hitting primary in the game. And then on top of that, we can switch our exotic weapon and our exotic armor piece and do the same thing but with a different weapon and even more damage from our exotic armor piece. Needless to say, when Lightfall drops, I honestly think Stasis will only be better, as we have seen some of the changes, how the slow and shatter debuffs can now stun champions for us, and we can already lock up barrier champions better than anyone, so a Stasis Hunter is set up to be much better, and you could even throw on Star Eater scales with it in Lightfall. Since, you know, all the mods are based off orbs of power, and how we can create them, and Star Eater scales will just benefit from that even further. If you're new to the channel and found this video helpful or enjoyable, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to see some awesome builds in the future and when Lightfall drops. And then for all you channel members, this build will be added to the perfected builds tab on the website, where we have all 3 void ones currently. If you would like to become a member and get some extra perks like the members Discord and extra website stuff, then the link is in the pinned comment for you, and thank you so much if you choose to do so. I really appreciate it. For your abilities, make sure you have on Gambler's Dodge. Dodging near an enemy fully recharges your melee ability. We're going to be using Withering Blade, the Stasis Shurikens, and we can get one of those back when we're dodging near an enemy, and we have 2 charges of this, so that's nice. And then for our grenade, we're taking Dust Field Grenade, a grenade that shatters on impact, leaving behind a field that slows targets and freezes enemies. Now this is a Dust Field spam grenade build, so we're going to build into that, and Dust Fields only have a minute base cooldown time, so when you have 100 discipline, you can get them back in 24 seconds with just 100 discipline. For the 2 aspects, we're going to take a Touch of Winter. So for a Dust Field Grenade, this increases the slow field size and creates a small stasis crystal on impact. So now we have our way to create crystals, and we're going to build into that as well. And then our second aspect is Grim Harvest. Defeating slowed or frozen combatants creates stasis shards. These shards grant melee energy when picked up by you or your allies, so we're giving our allies melee energy as well. We get 5 fragment slots with this build, and we're going to take Whisper of Shards. Shattering a stasis crystal temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate, and we get a plus 10 resilience out of this, which is nice. So when we shatter that stasis crystal that was formed by our dust field grenade, we'll get 5 seconds of enhanced recharge rate, and that alone cuts down our grenade in half the time. You can get it back in about 12 seconds just with this one fragment on. Next we have Whisper of Fissures. Increase the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. For our third fragment, we have Whisper of Durance. Slow from your abilities lasts longer. For those abilities that linger, their duration will also increase, and we get a plus 10 strength. So this makes the dust field grenade last another 6 seconds longer on the field, and it actually makes our Silence and Squall super last longer on the field as well, so a really strong fragment choice here. For our fourth one, we're taking Whisper of Bonds. Defeating frozen targets grants you super energy. We do take a negative 10 discipline and 10 intellect from this, but it's definitely worth it because you see huge super gains when you defeat one frozen target. That's because you're getting the super energy from Wish Ender because it's an exotic primary, and then also the super energy from Whisper of Bonds when you defeat just one frozen target. And lastly, we have Whisper of Rending. Primary ammo weapons do increase damage to stasis crystals and frozen targets. So now we can one-shot our crystal that forms, and we can one-shot pretty much anything in the game that's frozen as long as it's a red or yellow bar. This gives Wish Ender under literally like a 44 or 45% weapon damage bonus all the time as long as something's frozen, which you're gonna keep them frozen with these dust fields because we get them back so fast. Now for your stats on the build, 100 resilience for sure. In Lightfall, this is actually nerfed to 30% damage reduction, but you're still gonna wanna hit 100 resilience. It's damage reduction, and damage reduction is probably the most important thing in the game still. And then next, you wanna aim for 100 discipline just to get that dust field grenade back. Now for your weapons, in the special and the heavy slot, use whatever you want, but in your primary, go with Wishender. It's one of the best endgame weapons, and that's how we're doing some crazy damage on the frozen targets, and Wishender hits like a truck. It also gives us a ton of super energy. The other weapon I will mention is Malfeasance. Shoot tainted slugs that burrow into combatants. Stacking enough slugs causes them all to explode. This has intrinsic unstoppable as well, just like Wishender has intrinsic anti-barrier. So it's another really strong choice here in the primary, and it also gets the benefit from Whisper of Rending within our subclass. Now for our exotic of choice, there's a lot of different options you can go here. I tested Renewal Grasp, they're still really good, but the cooldown on those grenades just take a long time. I've also already done a build this season with Mask of Bacchus, and it's really good, but you also have to use a specific arc weapon. And I just didn't want to go that route again, and I tested it again in this Grandmaster, and yes, Mask of Bacchus is still good, but I honestly found the most success with just Frosties. So what Frosties does is rapid cooldown, increase grenade, melee, and dodge regeneration while sprinting. Dodging increases your sprint speed. Pretty simple, but the whole reason I was running this is because if I did catch myself in a sticky situation, I could just sprint for 5 seconds and have a dust field ready to go. It means I always had a dust field available whenever I needed it on demand. The other exotic I would mention with this is Lucky Pants. If you're running Malfeasance with Unstoppable, then switch to Lucky Pants. So you have Wishender with Frosties, or you have Malfeasance with Lucky Pants. Those are your two exotic combos you can be running. It's probably actually overkill for dust fields, so the mods can be set up a different way if you so choose. And in Lightfall, obviously this can change. On the helmet, I have elemental shards. So when we pick up a stasis crystal, this will count as a elemental well for me. I also had power preservation on the helmet, so when I'm getting so many squalls and defeating targets with it, I'm going to create more orbs of power for my teammates. On my arms, I had elemental charge, so when I pick up those stasis crystals, I get charged with light. On my chest piece, I had a firepower mod, so every time that I'm charged with light and I throw my grenade, I'll get about 20% of my grenade back instantly. On my boots, my Frosties, I had firepower again, so we're double stacking it twice. And then on my class item, I had a third firepower, so we get about 50% of our grenade back instantly when we throw a grenade. We can either sprint with Frosties to top it off, we can shoot our dust field grenade crystal to top it off, and then we also have double bomber, so every time I dodge, I get another like 25% of my grenade back. So as you can see, we've built into grenades like none other with this build. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you give the build a try. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.